Hi everyone, well we're back at Tracy's today. That site's very handy for us at Yeadon for getting just weekend there, and then we're only a stone's throw from Tracy's. So yeah, very good, and you can get to shops and one thing and another. So we're here this week, and we've got an appointment with the diabetic nurse and an appointment with the hospital this week. That's Wednesday and Thursday. So providing Pat's feeling okay, we'll be able to set off again next week. I don't know where we're going yet. But going back now, late 1967, I'm home on leave, and we arranged the wedding. We went to see the vicar, and we spoke to the vicar. He knew what the situation was, and we had the banns read. I don't know whether you do that anymore, where they one day for every week for 3 weeks they announce it or something, and anybody who objects has the opportunity to object. There were plenty of objections, but nobody officially objected. Right, so the flight home in January, I'd had to stay in Germany over Christmas, that Christmas in 67 and New Year into 68, because I had my leave in January to come home and get married. So I was on my own in Germany at Christmas that year. And Andy was my best man, and we both had a flight arranged on the same day, which was a Tuesday. I was getting married on the Saturday. This is in January, and we had the flight arranged for Tuesday. We thought, well, that gives us plenty of time to get a ring for Pat and secretly get passport photographs taken and organise a passport for Pat. Anyway, the problem was Andy's flight, I believe, was in the morning and mine was in the afternoon, and it snowed like hell, and Andy took off and got back to Blighty, but my flight was cancelled and I was kept in some camp near the airport in Hanover overnight. If you've ever seen a tiger pacing up and down in a cage, well, that were me in this place, waiting for a phone call from the airport to say that my flight was ready. And there I was at this place on Wednesday, and I'm still there on Thursday, and I've got to be back for Saturday, and it's snowing and snowing, and there don't look like there's going to be any the thought. So I made a decision. I'm going to go by boat. So I got on a train at Hanover Airport. I don't know where this train had come from, but it was thick as snow, dark corridor inside it. Where did I go? I'm not sure. I think I usually went to the Hook of Holland. as I vaguely remember. Anyway, the boat, the sea was really rough. I got a cabin and laid down in the bowels of the ship and laid down and tried to go to sleep. And this is Friday, and then I got into London and up. By the time I got home, it was Saturday morning, early hours of Saturday morning. I'm getting married at, I don't know, 11 o'clock or something on Saturday, and I was still travelling early hours of Saturday morning. I was knackered, I was fretting, and we got into the church on the morning of the service, and there weren't many there, but my Auntie Ethel was moaning at me, couldn't you have waited? And I said, oh, don't you start. And I'd had enough. And I'm sat there, and the vicar comes up to me, and he says to me, I'm afraid I can't marry you, Trevor. Why? Now, apparently, Pat's mum and dad at this point were separated, and it needed a dad's signature on this form as a consent, and that had deliberately not been done to stop it. And I said to the vicar, if you don't marry her, I'm going to kill her right here in the church. He went away. And don't ask me how, I do not know. In fact, it was a couple of years ago, Pat and I went to the church and we asked the vicar who was there who the vicar was in 1968 when we got married, and he had a look in his archives and he told us the name of the vicar, but he says unfortunately the vicar had died 2 years ago, so we never got a chance to see him. We wanted to thank him really, and let him know we were still together, but I don't know how it came about, but he married us, much to the chagrin of various parties. And we had the reception at the Co-op in Leeds. It was a poor affair. I'll put a photograph up here for you to see. We had, believe it or not, half a room in the Co-op. They literally divided the room in half with a curtain. Somebody else was on the other side of the curtain and we were on this side. It was a poor affair all round. And the night do were even worse, weren't they? The commercial pub in Armley. How many was there? 6?
I don't know. Not many.
Even if there were that. And it was truly a pathetic wedding. And of course the honeymoon were just as bad, because as Pat mentioned earlier, the money that we thought we had wasn't there. So we finished up spending our honeymoon in Pat's auntie and uncle's house. They were staying with their daughter.
Great auntie.
It was your great auntie Ethel. They were staying with their daughter at the time, so they let us use their house. Because that night, God, Pat was fast asleep. She never heard no but my mother was screaming in the street. And I just laid there listening to it all. And eventually she gave up and went home. And the following day when we went to house, she demanded the ring back, and we had a right to do, we had. And we stayed there. And we had a few nice days there. I don't know how long we were there, Pat, do you?
Well, we went to Manchester to
We did,
Andy's.
but I don't know
No, I remember
whether
a couple of days.
couple of days there, and then we went to Andy's in Manchester, and stayed there for the rest of time. And then
Sorry.
thanks. And then passes it. And
It's just fallen over.
it was, we're an omen.
Oh.
This has just fallen over. Can you see that? That's me and Pat when we got married.
We're only taking on a little camera.
Yeah.
We didn't have a photographer.
Yeah. You know, I went back from Manchester, and did you get a train back to your mum's on your own, or did Andy?
I think Andy put me on a train.
On a train, and you went back to your mum's. And that was it. I was back in Germany, and Pat was back at her mother's. And we'll leave it there. Okay, see you later. You know what Pat just said? She says, my mum were in the room knocking it over. It was spooky. From left to right, Pat's Uncle Brian, Pat's mum, me, Pat, my mum and my dad. This is at the reception with Andy, my best man, at the side of me, Pat's mum, my mum and dad, and I think that's Uncle Brian and Auntie Madge at the back there, stood at the side of my dad. And that's Andy with Pat at Blackpool.